Battle of the Challenges, the episode 4 review of Battle of the Exes 2 with Vincent Cloud.
DJ. Matty Nice.
Holy crap. Your voice cut through my eardrum like the knife that you're holding in your hand.
Your nose is bleeding.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
There's blood coming out of my ears and eyes. I think I have the rage virus. Matt's got a knife in his hand. He likes to record with various weapons.
Hence the
Well, first of all, we're going to have to cover 2 episodes through no fault of our own, except, I mean, you just caught a bug. You were sick. You couldn't record it, right?
Yeah. Still am. Sorry for the hacking in advance.
Let's start off with the mission, the brush off. The girl has to dive into a pool of paint, run up the cargo net to meet up with her guy, and then they're going to exchange the paint from her body to his, and then he's going to have to leap in midair and grab the punching bag, and on that punching bag are 12 squares that he has to fill in completely with the paint in 3 minutes, and Jordan and Sarah are in charge of the order because they won last time. So we have Leroy and Naya, Wes and Teresa, Knight and Jemmy, Adam and Brittany, Jay and Jenna.
I think the people had fun with it that wanted to have fun with it.
A lot of grabbing, a lot of groping.
Yeah, I think Brittany had a little too much fun.
Yeah, they were the one where she was like, she jumped out of the
yeah,
ground.
and she was like writhing her hips.
It was the same thing they were doing on the dance floor in the beginning of the episode, remember? They were 69ing on the dance floor.
Oh yeah, that's right, yep.
And as always, Adam is like, Brittany's obsessed with me, but we gotta do what we gotta do. I think he likes hanging out with that Brittany chick, but he's always gonna be playing it cool to everyone else. Like, man, that's nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Johnny might have liked it a lot.
That's what Zach said anyways. She's probably going to enjoy it. Like, who wouldn't like to climb on this tree?
Yeah, and we'll get on about Zach, but falling down my list of people to like, yeah.
On a competitive standpoint, or to me, it's political.
Politically, yeah, definitely political. Obviously, he's a beast. He's a huge dude. He's fast. He's athletic, but we can get in this later.
In Heat 1, Leroy and Naya. Now, upon hearing the instructions and what the challenge is actually about, she rolls her eyes because she's like, oh, this is going to be awkward and embarrassing. Now, I say crocodile tears.
Absolutely.
Because her first opening line in the entire season was, yeah, I gave Leroy a world-class blowjob. And she's going to try and pretend to be coy on this mission. Ridiculous. They don't do terrible and they don't do great either. Next is Wes and Teresa. Teresa jumps into the paint, gets some on her front, and then leaps out. So she's up the cargo net before everyone else. At first I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, she's really giving it her all. But there's not a lot of paint there. And Wes probably gives his worst performance so far. He's jumping down there, he's trying to get the squares, but he's also sliding off a lot. I actually saw someone posted a still from the episode of Wes falling off the bag, and instead of falling into that water, he hit the ground. Like, his back just landed right smack in the middle like that, and he fell backwards into the water. Like, people thought he fucked up his back, like he broke his back or something.
Wow.
Not a very good performance for him this episode. In fact, he is second to last with Teresa. Knight and Jemmy, they ultimately get last place. And speaking of, I mean, this was Knight's last episode.
Yeah.
He had a proper send-off because
Spoiler alert.
I don't think anyone's watching this without watching.
He died.
During the mission or later in life?
Later in life.
Oh, how?
Somebody injected him with drugs.
What? You sure that was in real life, or were you watching Michael Clayton or something, or what?
Or Michael Jackson.
Oh.
No, I really do feel bad. I love Knight, man. He had some good one-liners this episode.
The hardest part of this mission is going to be my dick.
That was great.
Adam and Brittany, it's weird, man. I almost think that they fit in this challenge perfectly now. Because they're always hooking up with each other, which what people tune in for. Not me necessarily, I don't give a crap about it, but people tune in for like, ooh, the hookups. And then they fight, which is another reason why people like to watch the verbal back and forth. And they win a lot of elimination rounds. In fact, they win their third one, spoilers, tonight. So they're fitting in, as much as people wanted to hate them for being Are You the One, they are actually fitting in way better than some other people.
Yeah, he's kind of a cocky dick, kind of funny.
He stripped for all the women in the house. On top of all that other stuff I listed, Adam also tries to just talk to Jonna, the power couple. Spoilers: Zach and Jonna win. He also tries to get in her head.
I thought it was a great move, and he really did get in her head, and he created dissension on that team just by doing it.
I'm so glad you remember that. I was like, I don't want to have to recite this entire fucking episode to you.
That was one of the better moves I've seen a rookie team do. He sensed an opportunity, and he went for it. He saw Jonna vulnerable. He saw Jonna kind of exposed in her team as not obviously someone that Zach really hears out. He took the opportunity and he really poured it on, and he said,
Yeah.
why not Jay and Jenna? We've done 3 of these. Your first season, they kept throwing you in, and you kept coming back. You know how it feels.
I feel really bad for Jonna this season. I mean, as much as competitively, I feel really good for her because obviously she has Zach, but emotionally, he's abusive, as Bananas puts it later. Bananas is trying to cheer Nani up. He's like, hey, if anyone's got to complain about something, it's Jonna. She's got the emotionally abusive partner. Last partners for Heat 1 is Jay and Jenna. The only thing I got to say about them is they don't perform very well on this one, but they were part of the Exes swap in the house. The little fucking, at the very beginning, Jay is looking at Zach and Jenna, and he's standing there trying to get with Jonna, and he's like, look at him, look, like they're not gonna make out, like we should make out. And he even calls out Zach and Jenna, and they make out no problem. So Jay's like, oh shit, we gotta do it now. And he makes out with Jonna, and to me it just kind of looks bad on their side. Looks a little desperate.
I don't think Zach or Jenna are going to be jealous at all.
No.
For Jay, it's like, hey man, just enjoy a beautiful lady like Johnny. Like, I mean, if I'm just Jay, I just play that sympathy card the whole way and just try to get it in with Johnny.
What else is there to do? It's not like he's got to worry about winning, really. Do you even think Jay has even considered that he might win?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Jenna doesn't perform very well, but maybe they'll get a ticket to the final, maybe, just by being one of those couples that everyone's like, just push them into the final.
It might, I mean, if they get over that bridge. Mm-hmm. And Jenna's strategically placed alliance with Zach now that she's hooking up with him. Doesn't hurt anything, and Zach's part of his 3-way alliance. But
the mission itself, how I felt about it is, it was a little bit of a mix of things that we've seen before. You know, I'm not one to really complain about the challenges because in the end, this podcast is a celebration of the challenge. But the whole rubbing things off of your partner, that's like the honey from Exes 1. Yeah. And then jumping onto the beanbag, we've seen that done quite a few times. It seems like on Fresh Meat 2, perhaps. I did like the fact that they had to color the boxes on the beanbag. That means you had to maneuver on it, and that would be extremely difficult for me. I know that. Heat 2. Let's get on to Heat 2. Johnny and Avery. Nothing really much to say about them. Avery still looks hot and adorable, but they perform in the middle of the road. Nothing else happens in this episode for them either. Jordan and Sarah, they won previously. Now they're going to go in Heat 2 to give themselves the advantage. We already see them shaking hands with Wes and Teresa and Bananas and Nani.
A dangerous game.
Dangerous game. Jordan and Sarah, they're using gravity. They're Isaac Newton in this thing, man. They take second place because all they do is have Sarah. No, Jordan lies on the floor. Sarah stands over him, and then they let gravity do the job. The paint just falls, and that's how it's taken care of. Bananas and Nani. All I gotta say is that this was just about Nani crumbling right before Bananas' eyes. Just this emotional
wreck
throughout the entire episode. It started off with her talking about Bananas at the bar with John A, and then right in the middle, Zach is talking about how Bananas is a different guy with his Olympic girlfriend, and Nani can't stand that. She goes as far as saying that he's the worst. After he's like, hey, you should buck up. You should, wake up and train with me. Let's get the day going. She's like, no, she doesn't even face him. She's sleeping in her bunk bed. And he's like, hey, you should be thankful that I'm not Zach, the emotionally abusive partner. And she's like, you're the worst. Everyone was saying the producers came up with this hookup.
It was a reach.
Yeah.
Obviously it wasn't a reach.
It wasn't. This was the episode where you're like, no, it wasn't. It was for real. Now, I don't want to promote another podcast, That's the last thing I want to do. But AfterBuzz occasionally has some really cool information presented. They do have either some cool guests or some insight from somewhere out of nowhere. Usually kind of like Mark Long, he might have said it. But what they said was that Bananas had a thing for Nani, and she freaked out about it. They had a weekend together, and it was really Bananas trying to be like, "Hey, Nani, I kind of like you," and she freaked out. She took off and left Bananas. Now that's what, because she even admitted early episodes where she's like, "I'm not very good at relationships and putting myself out there and stuff." And now she's the one that can't handle that he's moved on. And not only has he moved on, but he's dating an Olympic athlete. That's hot. I'm like, what are you, Nani? I don't want to hate her on her too much, but I thought that she got put on a pedestal from free agents for nothing. We talked about this, where she got within 9 minutes, and they're like, oh my God, that's amazing. She almost beat Laurel by 9 minutes. No, Laurel almost lost to Nani because of Zach. It was on the mountain, and he almost died. Bananas and Nani passed Laurel and Zach on a mountain where they were separated by 15 minutes. They were released in 15-minute increments.
That just means Laurel crushed her 15 minutes more in every other leg of the race. Wait, I'm sorry, 24 minutes.
Is it? Wilson. He's the quarterback for the Seahawks, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's it? Russell Wilson, right?
Yep.
Okay. Nani. I might edit all this out, but Nani is the Russell Wilson of the challenge because she did good, but look at how she did good by the other team sucking. Remember when the Seahawks beat the Broncos?
Kicked their ass.
Bad. Because it was just, they were bad. They were horrible. It's something that Manning does. He chokes, right?
He's a choke artist.
So that's the same with Nani doing good against Laurel because of Zach.
Zach choked, and yeah.
So now, and this is just coming from a Packer fan. I'm obviously from Wisconsin. This is like all the next year. Wilson is in all these commercials and stuff, and everyone's like, the Seahawks, we're brand new, we're the up and comers, we're this and that. And I was like, no, man, you're new, you are green, you happen to beat a subpar player in the final, in the Super Bowl.
Well, a great player, but in that known moment, known to choke in high pressure moments.
Yeah. Just allow this to work. Does it work? Does it
That's
tie
okay.
in?
You're doing right.
Yeah? Oh, awesome. Yes. All right. I was like, this might be a bit of a reach. But Nani is Russell Wilson. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And Zach is, holy shit, Zach is Manning, right?
Ouch. Yeah. And I think, because even with next episode, he's a good player, a great player.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people would beat him at what he does, in a physical competition. But when it comes down to it, he kind of chokes. His epic rage outs or cramping up.
Although,
so who loses? Who wins?
Right.
Zach and Johnny.
Yeah, they win. Because you know what? Johnny hustles. She really gives it her all. That's awesome. They fill in all 12 squares. They're the only team that does it. And this is the Zach episode. And this is the return of the Battle of the Seasons to Zach.
Mm-hmm.
Battle of the Seasons, he was an asshole. He was especially an asshole to poor Sam.
Mm-hmm.
You barely saw him in Rivals 2, except he was winning, but then he had that huge freak out. And then, but he was gone.
He choked in the elimination. He took over when he shouldn't have.
So he is Manning then, after all?
He is Manning after all. So he wins. Who loses? Dead last.
Knight and Jemmy.
No surprise.
Not a good way to go out there, Knight, regardless.
Jemmy was not trying at all. That whole...
She got paint in her eyes, and she's like, from then on, it was over. I feel like Jemmy and Knight are the king and queen of excuses. I mean, you could be like, no, it checks out, but it does happen to them a lot. There's always something where they're like, oh, we would have won if it hadn't been this or that. It's power couple time. Hold on. They first call in buddies, Knight and Jemmy, and they ask, is there anyone you would prefer? We don't really feel like throwing Jay and Jenna in because then they'll have a direct target. So Zach is trying to say to his own friend Knight, he shouldn't have to do this. He should be able to just be upfront.
I'm begging Jenna, and I don't want to throw her in.
But he doesn't go that approach at all. He says, Jay and Jenna would have a direct target. They're just regarding Adam and Brittany, who are about to go in instead, that everyone votes them in, and they're the scapegoat. Like, Adam and Brittany aren't going to directly be pissed at anyone because everyone's put them in. That's their big theory. In the middle of that night, just takes a bite of pizza and he's like, "What about bananas? Why don't we just put in bananas?" Jonna laughs because she kind of gets it that it's kind of a joke, it's kind of whatever. But Zach, he becomes deathly still. His voice literally cracks when he's like, "I don't want to throw in bananas." He can't even say it out loud. So Knight says, "I know this is a date, but I know that Zach wants Jenna around, and whoever you want, like, just know I'm coming back. Do whatever you want." Without saying too much, Knight is like, "Okay, I get it, Zach. You don't want to throw in Jay and Jenna. You should have just brought me in and said, hey, we're going to throw in Adam and Brittany." You clearly didn't care what his opinion was whatsoever, even though they're friends. Do you think, in the end, Zach made a good choice in putting his friend, who could be a potential vote or cover for him?
I don't know. I mean, play it safe right now with that rookie team. He ain't ruffling any feathers. It's a good move. It's what everybody does. Standard play early on in the game.
Even though it might have cost you your friend Knight. I mean, imagine Knight's your friend. I could imagine that. I'd love Knight. It'd be awesome. At this point, you care more about money.
Well, actually, yeah. In that case, Jay and Jenna.
That's your friend, but, it's Zach. He's the battle of the season Zach again. He's not the same guy. He's out for the win. He wants to get to the final.
It's not like Knight and Jimmy are a bomb team. It's not like you throw a good team in against them. 9 chances out of 10, they're going to get beat. The weaker of the two teams of rookies that are left that do the state play, Jay and Jenna would have been the better play.
I think Knight understood, though. And I don't think Knight had any delusions of grandeur that he deserved to be in the final or that he was a great athlete or anything like that. I think Knight knew his role and he understood it, and he never expected anything more.
No.
He's not going to put Zach on blast. So they call in Jay and Jenna, where Zach proceeds to blatantly hit on Jenna in front of Jay and Jonna. It's an uncomfortable scene. They're all laughing, but like uncomfortable, super nervous. He doesn't care. He's taking advantage of it. He's like this huge hulking figure. He's like, "This woman is hot. You lost her, bro." Jay's like, "I really would like to stay here." And he's kind of going along with the joke. He's like, "I would love to stay here and hang out with Jonna." And Zach's like, "I think that's a great idea." They're talking about Jonna like she's not even there. This Zach guy, he really caught my attention this episode, because not only was he in every scene, but you were given so much more insight into how much of an asshole he is. It was great. It was a really good episode.
And then the next part was the most interesting part of the episode. Adam decides to go and do
the stripping.
The stripping.
But then he narrows it down to more Jonna.
He says he sees an opportunity. Johnny's feeling kind of left out. I think after that conversation, she kind of just felt left out of her own team. And she was sitting there, and he took the opportunity to try to convince her to say, "Hey, why not Jay and Jenna?"
Yeah, man. But like before that, though. Okay, so after the whole Jay and Jenna conversation, they pretty much understood that they're gonna be carried through by Zach.
Yeah.
Like they leave, they get up out of the table, and Jonna, she's like, "Hey, I want to talk now. Like, let's let the two of us talk. Let's open up some conversation." And Zach's like, "Oh, all right, sure. What do you want? What do I have to say to just calm you down?" And that's exactly what he did. She's like, "Hey, I just always wanted to be friends. I know and he's like, "Yeah, I did treat you like an asshole, and I shouldn't have done that." To me, all of this was political apology. He might as well gotten in front of a bunch of people and did a press conference. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't mean it, because he's going to turn on a dime when Jonna shows up and says, "Hey, I talked to Adam, and he made a couple of good points. I feel like we should throw in Jay and Jenna." And Zach instantly turns and he's like, "Are you serious? Are you kidding me right now? Like, that is dumb. That is a dumb move." Like, he just
berating her, yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, okay." She's ready to just ignore it. I'm going off of statistics and probability, and you're going off emotions. Really, at this point, she wants to drop it. She was apologizing, and now she's just repeatedly saying, "Okay, all right, okay." And he's on her, man. He won't let this go. It's fucking horrible, man. Following that whole scenario, it gets even worse. When it's time for them to announce it, Jonna is like, "Oh, it's gonna be."
Well, TJ even gives her the opportunity to make the pick.
She says Adam and Brittany. TJ asks, "Why is that?" And Jonna looks to Zach like, "Well, why is it?"
He leans over and says something into her ear.
Like everyone's laughing, and she just goes statistics. She's never known why they were throwing Brittany and Adam.
Or she knew why, because Jay and John.
Yeah, so finally Zach is like, well, we continuously beat Brittany and Adam, so that's why they deserve to go. And it was complete bullshit. So as soon as you think that's the worst for Jonna, no. The next scene is Zach and Johnny Riley and Jemmy, Bananas, a few other people. They're standing there and they're like, "Oh my God, Jonna! Like, what the fuck was she thinking? Like, I thought she was gonna say Jay and Jenna, and I was gonna lose it." Zach continues to say she's the worst. She has no confidence, no communication skills. I'm living a nightmare. She even shows up at that moment, and he's still
she was listening.
Yeah,
he said, "I heard the whole thing."
Oh fuck! And then, oh, by the way, Jemmy was being a bitch in that room, man. She was the one that was like, she's not smart enough to make any change or to change the vote, you know. And as soon as John A comes in, then she gets really quiet, and then she tries to throw in like, well, as a woman, you should have more say or whatever. I don't know. Jemmy came off as kind of a bitch this episode, regardless.
But I think Jemmy was saying, "Stick up for yourself." She was being a bitch about it, but she was basically saying, "You need to stick up for yourself."
But she was already ragging about her to Zach, the very person that she wanted John A to stand up to. I didn't really like Jemmy much this episode. You know, it's Knight's send off, but yet that very same episode, she's sleeping on Leroy's lap in the back of the bus right behind Knight.
Her hand might have touched his penis a couple times.
Several times. But you know what? Knight did say that he did cheat on her a lot of times. John A shows up, and what she do? She doesn't make anything better. She just sits in and stews in the awkwardness and the shame. It felt so bad for John A. But now finally we're at the dome. We have two towers, each with 2 levels of cement levels to break through, because you have a rope and you got to tug on it with your partner, and it's going to bring in this sort of a sledgehammer maybe on a rope.
All of sorts attached to the bottom. You got to bring it all the way up through the top. I knew as soon as I saw it, I knew Adam and Brittany were going to win.
Knight's never been the biggest guy, not the biggest threat. Adam, he's pretty ripped, and Brittany's very eager to give it her all as well. I'm starting to like Brittany, by the way. I'm really coming around to her.
Get a little bit of crazy in her, which is a good thing.
Yeah, like I said, man, Robin.
You know, Robin. Some crazy. And they get pummeled.
Adam and Brittany are even able to take a 5-minute break in the middle of it.
Everybody's like, "Come on, finish him off."
Finally, take it, break through that second level. Knight rips his shoulder out of place. They're as good as gone. The parting lines of Knight and Jemmy. Jemmy's like, "We never worked good together." And then Knight says, "Probably because we're exes, and we'll probably keep it that way, but we'll be friends though." So it was a nice little, like, kind of an asshole thing to say, and then kind of undercut by a nice little sweet. Exactly. If you go to MTV.com, Knight goes to the hospital. He does rip his shoulder out. He's got to get a shot in his ass. They got to put him in a brace, X-rays, and they are ineligible for Exile. Have you? Yeah.
I think they would have destroyed JJ and Simone.
God, fuck, man. Have you watched any of the JJ and Simone stuff? Did you watch the Exile at all, though?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. A quick little insight into JJ and Simone. I mean, holy fuck. I actually like Simone. There's something about her that reminds me of a lot of other girls that I've known before. Cute and kind of feisty and, you know, full of attitude unnecessarily, but, you know, they're cute nonetheless, so you deal with it. John Jay, on the other hand, it's like, dude, you have no enthusiasm for anything.
None at all.
Not for a challenge, not for an elimination, not for an exile. They're video segments that they're post, and they're usually a couple of minutes long. They're just like, you know, video diaries. He just complained the entire time. He was in bed the entire time, just complaining about her. And at first, she was trying to be playful. They were trying to make a dinner, and she's trying to be like, "Hey, John, hey, let's have some fun. This is like, we're living life." And he's like, "No." And the only silver lining in this entire thing is that now we're done with this episode, and we can talk about episode 5.